working on today. This is the Brinly poly cart. That's a 10 cubic foot dump cart. You know, this thing pops up and slides back. Love this cart. Had it just shy of 2 years now, or maybe just over 2 years now, but I've really been happy with its performance. It's holding up extremely well considering it sits outside for all of the year. Very rarely does it enter the garage unless it's to do repair, you know, like air up the tires or stuff like that. This thing just sits here. But the plastic is held up real well. Anyway, one thing that this does that I wish it could do better is when it dumps, this back piece here is beveled. It doesn't pull out like your metal carts have that sliding piece that comes off. So when you dump it, all the material usually dumps out of it. With a poly cart and this being beveled like that, usually you get about 90 to 95% of the stuff out there, but there's always a little bit something left over. I use this a lot for, how do I put this nicely, moving chicken manure around. And so I'd like to, when I'm done, to have all the chicken manure out of this before I go to using it for hauling lumber or stuff like that. So the idea here was, I wonder how I could make this thing dump all the way out. And a lot of times that just involves unhooking it from the garden tractor and dumping it over the rest of the way. Well, Brinly has come up with a fairly interesting way of making this happen without having to undo it from the garden tractor itself. And that's the Roger 180 dump kit. And they call it the Roger kit because the quote here is over and out. So a little bit of CB related stuff here, even in the garden tractor videos. Anyway, this thing, you have to kind of partially disassemble this. You're making very few modifications to it. But looking at the video last night of how this thing goes together, this looks like it's not going to be a difficult task, and it looks like something we can knock out here, in the next hour or so. And it'll give this cart the ability to flop all the way over. It'll tip completely over, get all the stuff out of it, and that'll really be cool for when I'm hauling around that manure. So the chicken scrap, we'll call that, right? Anyway, let's get this thing unboxed. I know that I'm going to need, well, a flathead screwdriver, and I think it was a 9/16, it might have been a 1/2 inch. And because putting this thing together wasn't very difficult, but we're going to be taking the bed back off. We're going to drill a few extra holes, install a new bracket, put it back together again, and we'll be done. All right, let's go ahead and open this thing up and see what we got. I don't know if this is available in the stores yet, but they do have it online. I had this shipped to the house here. Go ahead and set that aside. Got our instructions here. Looks like we got some new metal pieces. Okay, 2 brackets it looks like. This must be our nuts and bolts. Looks like our new pool handle, that's cool. Some more brackets here. And this appears to be, yeah, this is the actual part that's going to allow this thing to dump over, our hinged material here. So go ahead and set all those aside. And we'll go ahead and read through the instructions real quick to see just what's involved, and we'll get this thing started. I believe this comes with a new drill bit for drilling out the holes that are required for the bed. But let's see. If anyone's interested in the part number, it's FDK-10BH. And it looks like it's compatible with a variety of dump carts, but this one being the 10 cubic foot, which is probably their most commonly sold. All right, so it's just got our parts list and nice color, or not color, but nicely, the pictures are all pretty easy here. So it's going to tell us first step 1, remove the A-frame. So there are 8 bolts that I'm going to take off, and that's actually going to just take the whole plastic bed right off this thing. So I'm going to go ahead and get started on that, and then we'll see what we got. Alright, so like I said, there's 8. You'll just need a Phillips or flathead screwdriver and a 1/2 inch wrench. You can also use a ratchet. And I'm going to go ahead and remove all 8 of those. I'll be using this little paper box here, cardboard box, to hold all this stuff so I don't lose it while I'm out here on the yard. Once you have all 8 of those bolts removed, you will just need to push down on your release lever and you'll lift the whole bed right off. I'm just going to flip that over because I'm going to have to do some work on the bottom side of that. Matter of fact, I'll kind of angle it here like so. There we go. All right, let's see what next step is. Okay, so aligning this stuff here takes place by using the existing holes. I've got these two brackets here, and you lay those down on top of this new bracket here. One thing I also want to point out, made in America, made in the USA. I'm liking that. Now more than ever, we need to look at making U.S. manufacturing a reality back here, stateside. So I'm happy to see that Brinley's doing that. So I'm going to take these pieces here and using my 4 existing holes, I'm going to put some new nuts and bolts through here. That'll hold everything together. Once that's done, with the supply drill bit, I'm going to be drilling 4 new holes in the bottom of this to support all this bracket. Now while I'm putting these in, it's telling me not to go ahead and put nuts and bolts on here. Just push these bolts through, and that's just for the alignment procedure. Because apparently we'll be changing this out around. We'll be taking this back off after we've drilled these holes. Right? So there's our retainers. That's holding everything in place. Now I'm going to take the supply drill bit, which is right here, hook it up to my drill, and drill my new holes. Okay, and it's telling me now on this end I've got these 2 brackets here, and I'm going to be drilling 4 more holes, and that's to hold this in place. It actually comes with a template, which is nice. This silver piece is a template, so I'm going to use that to hold everything in place, and then it looks like we'll be bolting these onto the edge. All right, we're going to slide our drilling template in, like so. Same thing on the other side. Great. So there's our 4 holes drilled. I believe that is it for drilling new holes in this, so not a difficult task to say the least. All right, we're going to actually remove this, looks like, because this bolt's going in from the inside. So I'll pull these pieces off. Go. I usually like to get all 4 started before I tighten anything down. That's just, it makes alignment easier when you're building these things. Now we'll go back and tighten those up. That's it for that side. Let's see what's next. Alright, so the next step is taking this off here and putting it in our freshly drilled holes. And let's go ahead and tighten that down, which I believe is right there and there. So we'll get them started and then we'll tighten them up with the impact gun. All right, this next step is a little bit hard to visualize here. Looks like it goes to the outside of both of these. And there's two brass bushings. Looks like the bushings go from the inside. Like so. All right, once we got that installed, got our handle, our pull handle here. I'm going to go ahead and slide the rubber piece on there. And it looks to me, oh geez, I don't know, let's see, does it go like that? I think it goes, I can't go like that. Tighten it all up. Okay, the last few steps involve dragging this over. We've got to line up these back pieces here. There we go. Sliding these long bolts through these pre-drilled spots that we made earlier. There's one. Okay, so visually it doesn't look a whole lot different than it did before, just the addition of one handle on the side, but let's see how it operates. So the original release is still here, and I can tip it back, and as you can see, I get about that nice rake where I get most of the material out. But now let's see how the new part works. Release that handle, and she dumps all the way over. Slide that back into place and lock it. There we go. And lock it down into place. So, not bad. I like it. Dump it back, flip the lever, dump it all the way over. It will go all the way over. Locks back into place. I like it. Of course, this will work a whole lot better when it's actually hooked to a tractor, which I probably should have had for this procedure, but hope you enjoyed this little assembly video. Time will tell how well this thing works, but initial impressions are just as good as the Brinly dump cart itself. It seems to be a fully functional and well-built piece of machinery. If you like this video, perhaps you'll think about liking and subscribing. I'll see you next time.